Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're starting with Saturnastra, Deasura. And this is this one has like a weird narration format that is Ada Bram Stoker told between true letters and diary entries. Alright, Chapter 1. An epistle compilation of 8 years of the life of the eccentric Captain Deasura, abridged version by Wicked Sophie. Forward. Circumstances beyond our control have aroused the need to rely on written documents to craft a comprehensive report on the heroic deeds of Captain Deasura. Collecting the document was not too much of an arduous task thanks to the power of the powers of creation, and they consisted first and foremost of the Captain Deasura's diary, travel journal, letters, logbook, as well as any other piece of written information penned by Deasura's own hand, and any other unimportant events that she omitted will remain so seen as though human witnesses are unreliable and ever so forgetful. Personal letters, 10/17, month 1, day 1, year 1. Addresses, Venus World, 68, 397 East. And address, Dear Mona, hi, I just arrived to Saturnastra, codenamed Saturn, or maybe I got the names backwards. The trees in the forest are very, very big, and I have been in the forest more than 2 hours, and I'm already bored of them. The deer don't come close to us because of our older brother, and the things that we are supposed to ignore while paying attention to them are already onto us. And we started out with 30, but now there's only 13 of us left. Just kidding, or maybe I'm not. This is the first time we have all been together in one location, and our schedules rarely coincide, and if there were more of us, but maybe they did not make it, and I wouldn't know or even remember. So the first has been moody as usual, and the third refuses to eat anything but cakes. And I won't bore you with the details of their antics, and since we have not chosen a name, it gets a little bit confusing to talk about us. So how's the job in the factory? I know you don't like to talk about work, but it is not as if I have done anything productive with my time. I saw a couple of squirrels and some Gregors here and there, and Mama says that there weren't going to be any Gregors in this world, and perhaps some of those inky men added Gregors to go along with the nature or for magical purposes. And you can grow interesting curses with their antennas, and their bulbous frames are a delicacy within certain circles. Forgive me for rambling, and I'm just writing this to pass the time, and I will write you when I see you again should anything interesting occur. And I know how precious your time is. Sighed Deasura. Month 2, day 1, year 1. Dear Daffodil, and I finally headed out on my own, and the people in the first town I visited were really nice to me. And they're always playing rock fights with me and throwing me free food wherever I go. And I'm not much for rotten tomatoes and lettuce, but I suppose due to the poverty I have seen, the townies are giving me what they can spare for their survival. And they also call me names all the time, and I do not know why, and I told them that I do not have a name yet, and their suggestions have been pretty silly. Well, you know how I feel about bad language, Mr. Daffodil. And these people got me thinking about my own name, and it does seem a bit silly to me to be choosy on the matter. And normally the parents name the kids, and I guess that because my mom is not my mother in the traditional sense, she gave me the option to name myself, or maybe she did not bother to whistle trivia matters either. And to amuse myself, I introduced myself with many different names to gauge people's reactions, and choosing the standard, hello, my name is so-and-so, and what's your name? And I quickly became familiar with the identities of all of the townies from the town, Dr. Apricot. I should have asked the name of the town. Nah, I don't really care where I am at the moment. I will not linger here for much. And the names that received negative feedbacks were Anise, Antimone, Arsene, Boldo, Boras, Chicory, Chuck, Columbite, Flank, Har, Marquesa, Nite, Saffron, Shank, and Polaroid, Trillion, and Urea. A pity because they were my favorite names, and they were all impartial to the name Deasura. The names that they did not like were a bit too common, like Isabella, Mia, Rose, and I guess I will go with the name Deasura then. And dear Mrs. Keeling, a nice fat lady escorted me out of town with the help of her 2 older children, and being naive little fools, they accidentally threw me into a ditch, and made mention of Mrs. Keeling to reward their courtesy on a later day. And personal letters, 319, classified, address Venus World. Dear Mona, I had made it to the sea, and the swimming down river was a lot of fun, and there were more than just fishes on the river, and this was supposed to be expected. And I had never been inside a river, but I have a rough idea of how they're supposed to work. And aside from trouts and basses, I saw otters, bears, crocs, mantas, and catfishes. On the unexpected variety, there was a bizarre little round fish with a flat tail and a protrusion on the mouth that resembled a beak. And there are a lot of bizarre little fishes in the river, and the others are color variants of traditional fishes. And they come in quite a colorful combinations like red, white, blue, silver, green, or green, white, orange. And the most interesting of the lot were the flying butterfly mantas. And they do not really fly, rather they can propel themselves out of the water like the flying fishes. And to stay out, they fill their lungs with air and swell out till they can pop almost outside the water. And the way they skirt around the surface never fails to amuse me. And while regular mantas had the top black, these ones had interesting color pigmentations. The fishermen here are an excitable bunch, and it's not as if swimmers are a new innovation. And from time to time, I am joined by a few curious pups, and based on their taxonomy, they resemble requiem pups with their large round eyes and two other 5 gills between the necks and shoulder, and skirmishes with the fishermen are all too commonplace among their kind. And since the pups regularly develop in the river, they take it personal whenever a human uses nefarious fishing practices to get the upper hand. And they lead traps or discard broken gear by throwing it into the river. And I more than once got tangled in a gill net, and after the second incident, instead of dislodging myself, I waited for the fishermen to come back. And thus they fished me out with a few innocent bystanders, and when they pulled me out, I asked, "Catch any good fishes?" And cutting me out, one of the fishermen said, "Sorry, my bad, pup." And together with his companions, they threw me back into the river, and then I think, "You seem like an honest bunch, and what sort of fishes are you trying to catch?" And based on their bizarre descriptions, they were trying to catch trout, basses, and catfishes. I then said, "Did you get what you were looking for?" "No," said the fisherman, starting to untangle the nets to pull them out again. "And have you tried a different fishing tactic?" I asked. "No, this is one of the easiest methods, and most of the time we get what we're looking for," says the fisherman. "You could try farming fishes," I suggest. "If only I had land," pouted the fisherman. "No, I mean fish farming, and you get a bunch of fishes, you raise them, and then when they're big, you eat them, excluding the ones you need to provide for the next harvest. It's no different than raising chickens, and it can help you avoid this misfire, I think." The fishermen were thoughtful for a second, but in the end they decided not to take any of my suggestions in earnest. It involved a lot of pointless extra work, as the saying goes, "Don't fix what's not broken." The following day I saw an interesting mutilated carcass of a human, and he was basically a human torso with all of his internal appendages removed, and his liver, heart, pancreas, kidney, and left lung were also missing as well. And not desiring to root too much into it, I decided to continue my journey towards the beach. And once I have explored the beach, I will write you again. Take care. And month 7, day 20, year 1. My most esteemed Baron Cedrin, and I arrived at the beach of town of Lutarnia, and it was at the mouth of one of the twin rivers beyond it were one of the many sea dragon archipelagos. And due to its proximity to the river, the town was populated by mermaids known as cutthroats, and they wore the name like a badge of honor, warning other species not to mess with them. And they paid tributes to the king and never rebelled, and this guaranteed them a certain degree of autonomy unbeknownst to the other feudals. And as of lately, they have been causing a lot of troubles, and the fishermen claim that the problem began when one of their own killed a cutthroat pup, mistaking it for a normal fish, and pups do take a year or two to develop humanoid features. However, this should not matter much since the pups are strikingly different from trouts or catfishes, and even their faces, flippers, and the lower half of them had humanoid features, and the master knew what it was, and they killed the pup anyway. And as of now, the fishermen knew to stay away from the mouth of the river, though they were known to get butchered at other parts of the rivers as well. And the pups I had spoken to had no idea why the humans were dropping dead around their territory. And as far as they knew, humans were not allowed to fish in near their nesting ground, and if anyone was caught doing such a thing, the ending was not pretty. And I got to the beach, followed by one of my pup companions, and they were not too keen on braving the big wide ocean. And the waves were especially choppy, throwing my small frame every which way, and I lost my rope somewhere along the way, and they had lost all of the usefulness after I had become a little pup myself. and I swam towards the ocean and looked around in vain, and all I could find was a small portion of it. I ate it for safekeeping, and then I soon discovered that it was not meant to be eaten, and when I threw it out the portion, it had my stomach contents, which were swapped away as well. Month 7, day 23, year 1. The earth are here for, and the home of the cutthroats to the outsiders appear chaotic, and they are a rowdy merry bunch with mean dispositions, and its impression is partly due to their round, soulless, dead fish eyes. And their single eyelid that blinks outward does not make them any more endearing, and the cutthroats rely more on body language to communicate, with strong displays of ritualized violence. And my seaweed coverings and the blue hair won me plenty of attention, and a few of the pups did manage to guilt the adults into getting me some new outfits. And ritualized violence for the cutthroats comes in many flavors and dialects, and the most common behavior of the lot came in the form of what humans would call mugging. I saw one hold up a human with a knife, and after taking their shiny, the cutthroat laughed and spit it in the face of the victim before returning the possession. And Jenny told me that such display was supposed to be complemented with something following the same theme, and to demonstrate this, Jenny went out to her neighbor, and Jenny started yelling and moving back and forth while staring straight into her companion's eyes. And she gave me the thumbs up and said, "Now you try it." "I don't wanna," I pouted. "Fine, suit yourself," said Jenny, laughing. "And you are all the same as father, so why?" I asked her. "And that may have been so many years ago, and since then, well, you know, my little colongo," said Jenny, chuckling. "I was just curious, I thought," I said, Jenny. "And do you need a place to stay?" said Jenny. "Nah, we are not allowed to have houses there." "No, do you have a place to stay?" I asked Jenny. "Nah, we're not allowed to have houses." No. "I was just curious, I said to Jenny. "And do you have a place to stay?" asked Jenny. "Nah, we're not allowed to have houses this time of year, not unless I buy it using this world's currency. And since I am support, my siblings gave me their allowance for me to invest in the markets," I explained. "And if you need money for your mission, we will be more than happy to give you whatever we can spare," said Jenny, opening her purse. And it did go dandy with her sailor dress and flat, skinny black shoes with a bow. "I can't take charity. My mother would rather we steal than accept handouts," I said, frowning. And I added, "And what are these people staring at?" "Nothing," said Jenny, chuckling. And I looked at the reflecting window and noticed that my algae and seaweed clothing looked ridiculous. The observer stared at my clothing, but I don't think I want them back after what the fishes did to them, I said, while continuing my walk with Jenny. "Oh, it's fine, I said, grinning. "And I'm not going to tell you what occurred," her handful. And long story short, I have to give up on the large portion of the roast that my father made for me. Second entry. Jenny offered me her little shack for me to stay, and her shack has 2 floors and a working plumbing, and the windows are made of clear glass, and she has a plain white curtains, and she made for me the guest room, which has 2 beds and a nightstand and a lamp, and the entire shack is illuminated by oil lamps in lieu of torches. And I spent the rest of the afternoon sanitizing my temporary bedroom, and Jenny thought it silly, my efforts to poison the Gregors, and in the end I had to resort to use forbidden poisons, and by nightfall I won the war against the Gregors for the time being, and I had my peace. And when Jenny returned home from work, she noticed this change, and she did not seem to be humored by their answer, and she complained, "I get normal visitors, and I'm going to see that something is not right without those little plagues. Unless the spiders and their webs," I said, smiling. "That is the one thing I would not have minded being removed," pouted Jenny. "And by the way, I brought you some clothing, and I think they're just about your size." And Jenny handed me a small brown package, and I opened the package with a grimace, and she had bought me a little black dress with a white apron, a straw hat with a red ribbon, and in the end I gave up my seaweed outfit. And Jenny took me to the river so I could bathe, and while there I saw the pups finally leaving the river and entering the town. Cutthroat children were pretty independent, and once they developed their feet, they went to town to do something with their life, like going to school or learning a craft. And Jenny narrowed her eyes and then relaxed when she recognized them, and she said, "I think that they are Sasha and Judah. They are my cousins, maybe." "Sure they are," I commented. "Man, I don't care," said Jenny, finishing dressing me. "And do you have any idea for a job?" "I got nothing. Worse comes to worse, I might just become a full cut purse, I said, smiling sadly. Oh, nothing. "Well, if you do decide to do that, you have my full support. Only do limit yourself to pickpocketing, and the best thing for you to do is be highway robbery, archaeology, or piracy. said Jenny, brushing my hair. For now, I will try a regular day job and see how it works, I said, coming to a resolution. 5th entry. Dear Master Bacon, you taste funny today, and the baked potatoes were acceptable, and I will not mind much, seeing as though I must sleep on the matter that is to befall me tomorrow. And traditional employment-wise, my culture seems more than willing to pay me to do odd jobs. However, they seem inclined to pay me more than what they should, and even though I waited for dinner more than once, a normal person gave me alms because they thought I could not afford shoes. And it is not as if I particularly dislike shoes, rather I left them by the shore side during my swim, and when the high tide came I lost track of them, and this is getting ridiculous if you ask me, Mr. Bacon, and I better get my head in the game soon. Alas, this is easier said than done, and I much rather take it easy by the seaside, and I could easily forget and leave the rest to the others, only they are a constant reminder of what I must do. At first I need to get some seeds, and I do have an aptitude for growing things in my backyard, and maybe I can make some money selling something, crops or other, Since I might sell well. The month 14, day 30, year 1. Work was slow today, and the roses I have been brewing have not met expectation, and the fact that the word has gotten out on how they were made has not helped my roses stand on one bit. And people still prefer plants that grow from dirt and not from an ominous, bubbling cauldron. And after paying rent, I have only managed to break even. And as of lately, I have seen Jenny and the others leave for the ocean more often, and with minimal personnel, the place is almost a ghost town. And during this time, no visitors are allowed to enter, and I have been looking after the house while Jenny's away. And from what I hear, the mermaids need to spend some time in the ocean to avoid turning into humans, and the amount spent in the water shows in their physique, and those who spend less than a month almost pass as human, except for the colored hair and the fish eyes and the gills, and others have more pronounced fish-like appendages. And I have yet to grow my sea legs, as the saying goes, but I am as dexterous as any fish in the ocean, even if I don't look the part. And I always liked swimming, and too bad I cannot make money by swimming about, except for finding shiny bubbles, maybe. 3rd entry. You will never guess what happened to me 2 hours ago, and I am still steaming over the indignities I suffered at the hands of those filthy fishermen. And I left Richard in charge of the house when I went swimming, and I was minding my own business checking out the corals and fishes, and I saw all manner of fishes and snakes and even a tiny sea dragons. And I call them sea dragons because they remind me of tiny seahorses with their bulging bellies and their curly tail and the small hand flippers. Anyhow, I saw above me a school of banner fishes, and my attention was soon drawn to a school of sardines in a bait ball. And bluefin trevallies were in the middle nibbling at the giant ball of fishes, and they were soon followed by spinner sharks and sailfishes. And feeling slightly hungry, I joined the group to eat a bit of tuna, and I would not eat it whole but catch it and decapitate it and then skin it, and to get a nice meat inside. And once these crabs rose to the surface, the seagulls started to peck at them, and all was going well till we were all fished out, and I was dragged out of the water along with a shark, 2 marlins, and a couple of trevallies. And me seeing with the larger fishes, I was taken out of the water by the fishermen, and the fishermen started smashing at the larger fishes, and when a fellow went to strike at me, at the shark, it smashed me in the skull instead. And breathing profusely, I yelled, "Ah, you're killing me!" And bewildered, the fisherman yelled and staggered backwards, and one of his peers came close to them and said, "The killer fish talks!" And put me back into the water, you fool, and the shark and the marlins too, or so help me, I said, shaking my fist at them. "If we let you back, what wish are you going to give us?" asked another fellow. Apparently he had heard some foolishness about talking, wish-granting fishes. "I'll give you a wish, all right. If you don't believe me, you will wish you were never born," I insisted. And this time the smash at the shark to coerce him, and his body went limp and for a moment and then started thrashing about again. And smashing me with his fin, he broke my nose, and twisting my body, I wiggled past the shark and then out of the net, and brushing the blood from my hair, I said, "Ma, I'll make you sorry." "Whoa, that's a mermaid skirt. Send it back into the ocean," yelled the captain. And the fishermen obeyed, quite frightened, and they threw me overboard amid a torrent of curses originating from yours truly. And once I was back in the ocean, I was grouchy that they had not even given me an apology for hitting me in the head. And I waited under the boat to see if they would return my shark out to the ocean, and when they did, it was in a pitiful condition, deprived of his fins and other key appendages. And I healed the shark, which was quite grateful, and it took much gesticulation and not swimming a race, but eventually the shark learned to keep an eye out for human vessels. He was a smart shark. 7th entry. Jenny came home a few hours ago and she was all hysterical because of my bloody head, and I lied to her and said I had a special condition that caused me to bruise more easily. And I learned Jenny said bandaging my head, and I thought that there was already a cure for hemophilia. I suppose there is, but don't worry about it. I can make more blood, I said casually, scratching the bandage. And moving my hand away, Jenny exclaimed, "Oh, stop that. You're going to get it infected." It's fine. Don't worry about it. Chicky, chicky. Jenny then left me alone and went off, mumbling curses towards my mother and my esteemed father and the fisherman. And she could not fathom why someone was created with such a fatal defect, though frankly I feel that she was taking things out of proportions, and anyone could bleed out after being smashed in the head a couple of times with a club. Personal letters, 119, month 3, day 11, year 2. Address, Venus World. Dear Mona, I finally got a day job that seems to be helping me make some progress. And the job is a little boring at times, but it is both rich and rewarding. And Jenny got me a job working in the recycling and salvaging team. And we got to keep spots in the ocean not to spill our relics from the palace of creation. And it's important to keep track of those chronology devices, lest they fall into the hands of the locals. And you know, Mona, I never did understand this restriction with technology. Then again, the dawn of science spells the demise of the magic. And it makes sense to put a little progress for the sake of cultivating profitable magic uses. At least that is the official excuse. And once I got Jenny to start worrying about me, I asked her, anything interesting occurring? Nothing much, just new construction projects in the shipyard. That seems the good king is having us built, and it almost feels like he lost his marbles, commented Jenny, preparing supper. It can't be that bad, I commented. Let's take the SS Imperial James, for example, and since Bersamin doesn't want to leak out the true blueprint, he has commissioned different shipyards to make the ship. And the final assembly is of course going to be done in Verageddon, which seems foolhardy considering that the nearest body of water is a lake in a shallow river. And so then why they bring the final ship, and surprise, it's shaped like a platypus, said Jenny, and she brought out the sketch of the ship for me to look at it. And I looked at it for a minute, and returning the drawing, I told her that it did look like a platypus, though frankly I was not seeing it. And you know how a little I like to argue. Anyhow, enclosed with this letter is my own sketch of the SS Imperial James, and the first in a line besides the first is a new line of a bizarre-looking ships that are now going to grace our waters in the coming years. And if you ask me, Mr. High and Mighty is trying to teach us idiots back in the palace about buoyancy. And I'll write you again if anything noteworthy happens as hugs and kisses. Month 14, day 12, year 2. Dear Mona, I listened to your advice and moved on to more lucrative business of making cheese. And unlike my recycling job, the cheese enterprise has been seeing business outside of the cultural market. And locally, my cinnamon goat cheese is well received, and the traveling merchants have been raving about the chevre with lavender and wild fennel. And I have also taken care to do something productive with the Y, which is making pastries or using it to thicken sauces. And the Dutch cheese market is a bit more competitive, so I have been experimenting with methods for keeping it fresh for longer periods of time without hardening. And cream seems to be helping a bit. And with harder cheese, I am playing the waiting game, meaning that I'm waiting for them to get popular. And people look at you weird when you say that you aged the cheese for a couple of hours inside a different dimension where time flows differently. So I stopped describing my ripening progress and just told my customers I generated things that they were accustomed to hearing. And I also stopped telling them the source of the cheese. And if anything other than cow, goat, or sheep, they start freaking out even if the source is cleaner than traditional sources. Alright, that's enough about Deasura's cheese. Bye-bye and God bless.